Okay, so this is again one of my impromptu videos. Let me get that more towards this side. Yeah, I think this is better. So, what I want to talk about is give up. You know, I think I've been thinking about this for quite some time, frankly speaking, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that that we have to learn to give up. We have to learn to give up on ideas, give up on thoughts, give up on mementos, regardless of what they are, regardless of how they impact you, how they affect you, or don't. Give up on milestones, give up on possessions, you know. Um, I mean, the attachment, you know, the attachment is, I'm not saying that you embrace inaction. I'm not saying that you give up on, hard work, patience, resilience, I'm not even saying that don't keep mementos, do keep mementos, do make memories, do make copies or documents of those memories, do do all of that. Go ahead, for sure do all of that. But at the same time, you have to learn how to give up. You have to not be attached to things, let it flow, whatever activity you're doing or not doing, whatever you think is right or not right, doing whatever, because once you learn how to give up, once you're not attached to the different things, you know once you stop worrying about the things, once you realize that every single thing that you think that it possibly can happen because it's possible, right? So you know that's the dysfunctionality of the world. I mean, see, everything is happening, to be frankly speaking, is a matter of chance. Just because it's been happening for so long, just because it's been the norm for such a long time, we assume that this is how it's gonna be. This is it. We just assume it, not realizing that it's not the norm. You know, just because you flip a coin, and just because you know it comes up tail, or it comes up heads 10 times in a row or whatever, doesn't discount the fact that it's still a matter of chance, right? The more you flip, you realize that it's a matter of chance. Yes, you can investigate into the coin, thinking maybe the coin is rigged. If it's but still, let's say that you do use a balanced coin and everything. It's still a matter of chance. And the fact that the coin might be rigged is also a matter of chance. Like, every coin will not be rigged, but there might be some coins which are rigged. So the situations in life are kind of like that. We look at something, we admire things, we think that that's the norm. There is rules laid out, and that's how people succeed. But a lot of the times, what? I mean, of course, there is hard work involved. Of course, there is effort involved. I'm not denying all of that. I'm not discrediting all of that. But, you know, see, when you give up on ideas, all I'm saying is that, see, the point that I'm trying to make here, when I say that give up on things, when I say this thing, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that that's right or something, but what I'm saying is that it's like peeling off an onion. So when you let go of some ideas that you have sort of conjectured, when you give up on those ideas, when you give up on those thoughts, you realize that how liberating everything is. You realize how freeing everything is, and you realize, you know, in general, overall, you realize how do I put it? I really don't know. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that when you let go of things, if there are things out there, because for me, I feel like there are a lot of things that I feel like I'm just doing it for the heck of it, not necessarily because I want to do those things. So when I think about those elements or those aspects of life, I realize that if I just let it go, if I just give up on those ideas, those thoughts, and those feelings, and those desires and emotions and whatever, I realize that what it leaves me with is something which is very core, very essentially me. And that's what we should be aiming for. You know, that's the norm. That's the norm. Again, I mean, forgive me. I'm like counter arguing myself maybe, but like I'm saying that that's the let's not use the word norm, but like at least that's what we should focus on, right? Peeling off, letting go everything, take it easy. Every single good or bad, whatever be the situation, don't judge it, understand it for the scenario, for the situation that it is. You know, you know. See, when you respond with happiness or when you respond with sadness, what you're essentially doing is that you are responding to some you know like perceived, or you could say like a set idea in your mind. You already have an idea of what happiness is, or you already have an idea of what sadness is. So these are the things that are supposed to make me sad, or these are the things that are supposed to, these are the things that are supposed to make me happy. So you've kind of assumed that, and as you have assumed that, what you end up doing is that you just start to kind of try to measure up everything according to that, you know that idea, that thought, that this has happened. So I mean, these kind of ideas are both like influence. We get influenced by what is around us. We see the world around us, we see other human beings, and we see that this is what's supposed to make us happy, this is what's supposed to make us sad, and there's also an immediate internal instinctive reaction as well. And when we collectively share it, then we realize that okay, this is the quote unquote norm. But what I particularly want to say here is that you know that's where we get misled in life. So I think the idea of stoicism, when we talk about stoicism, I think oftentimes people associate stoicism with some kind of neutrality, or it associates stoicism with some kind of like like emotionless state, non-emotion. But stoicism is not non-emotion. Stoicism is more like a meditation. It's an observation of things. It's more like what Buddhists would probably say. I mean, of course, there are the more religious kind of Buddhists, and there are the Buddhists who are more into like the impact of things or practices like meditation have on the mind. Uh, so when we talk about these things, so you have to let yourself flow, you have to let yourself go, you have to realize that freedom. I mean, the idea is a concept, you know, idea. So when you're chasing an idea, we're always like, we always like in this state of mind. Oh, I need something else. I need something else. I need something more, and that kind of just spindles around, it just circles around, and probably it makes things difficult for us to like reach a certain conclusion. But once we liberate ourselves, once we see, fear is quite out there. Like fear is a very universal phenomenon. I mean, quite literally, to be honest, because like imagine floating into space, with no gravity. That's scary. So I can say that fear is, matter of fact, very universal. But what I'm trying to say here is that the more you liberate yourself from those things, from those ideas, from those certain concepts that you've been holding on for too long. But the thing is that you know within yourself deep down that those don't serve a purpose, and yet you hold on to things because somewhere you feel like losing those things, like that particular photo you're holding on to, or that particular book that you're holding on to, or that particular thought or idea, or that person you're holding on to. You have to realize that all of this is temporary. This didn't exist forever, and this won't exist forever. They're just here for a while. you know every Probably some things end a little faster, some things end a little later, but everything ends. we are gonna end. I'm gonna end. Whatever this is, whatever who I am. This video is gonna end for sure, and I'm going to end also for sure. I'm already like there are probably like some degeneration that's probably I can witness within myself, whether mentally or physically, and it's only going to grow probably from here on. So what I'm trying to basically say is that in the consciousness, I don't even when it comes to the consciousness, I shouldn't think of my consciousness as something special or whatever, So I advise against thinking of things as special because, if you, I mean, contrary, like both there are two equalizing ways of seeing things. One way is saying that everything is special, everything is beautiful, and then there is another way to say that nothing is special. Nothing is special. So what I'm trying to, but why I am trying to be on the side of being like nothing is special is because when you decide or when you realize that nothing is special, you just let go of the weight. You know, Sometimes you want to go on a date, and you feel pressured. You feel like, I need to make an impression. Why? Because you think that's a special event, a special moment. But if you just let it be and just be yourself, even if that means failure, even if that means like like yeah, like being unsuccessful or whatever, but at least you'll be yourself. You'll be enjoying yourself. Just be happy. Just be enjoyable. I'm not telling you to go into a date like in your pajamas or something. That's not what I'm advocating. But at least what I'm saying is that you do your shit, but you just have to realize that this is just like this doesn't make it any special, right? This is just like checking boxes, or this is just like this is a format. Like dating is a game, let's say, and like for example, when you get into a football field, you're supposed to like uh, dress up in a certain way, right? You're supposed to wear a particular jersey or whatever. So similarly, when it comes to dating, you can say that yes, dressing up well is kind of a norm for a dating, but that's just it. It's just it's just visually satisfies people. But I mean, now that I think about it, I'm advocating for um, you know no special, like non-speciality, like nothing is special. If I'm advocating that, now I think about it, maybe what I can say is that probably yeah, go in your PJs. I mean, who cares, right? It's gonna be failed. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That you just look at it statistically. Like if you think that you going on your PJs has been a reason for why people are rejecting you, then you stop wearing your PJs. I mean, so statistically, right? So that's just you can say that statistically this is what happens. So this is what I'm gonna do. But like I'm saying that the idea of free will or being free or being independent, that's always there, and just get into that norm, get into that headspace, because that's the only way that you can ever sort of be successful or do something that really matters, do something that really counts, because everything else is just a lie. Everything else is just someone's going to tell you this is how things are going to be. Then here comes Mr. XYZ, and he's going to say that this is how it's supposed to be, and that's how the world keeps spinning around. And we've got different opinions, and someone may call like frame peace as violence, and someone might frame violence as peace, and that's what the world is essentially doing. Everyone will present their own narrative. So I think the only way is to just let it go. I mean, what I'm trying to basically say is that when you let go of things, when you stop holding yourself, because I'm more than I'm holding on to things way more than I think probably normal people. Like, well, again, like it depends from person to person. Different people feel pressure from different things, so whatever it is that they're feeling pressure from is what they should let go of. So I probably feel pressured by a few things, so it should be my responsibility to let go of those particular things or particular ideas, and embrace your flaws, embrace your dysfunctionality, embrace your shortcomings and short doings and whatever, because you because you're not really controlling, you're not in the driver's seat, or even if you're on the driver's seat, you're not still not the navigator. Like you don't have the map with you, right? You don't have the map. Probably you are the driver, you are the one driving your car, but you don't know the world. You're relying on this abstract, or should I say, like you know, you're depending on the navigator to guide you, right? Whether it's Google Map, whether it's some other person, or in daily situations, the navigator can be anything. Like it could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be your brother, it could be some textbook, or it could be a religious book. Anything could be a guide, anything could be a norm. So the whole point here that I'm trying to make is that you need to learn how to give up. You need to learn repeatedly, constantly. You gotta learn how to give up. The more you learn how to give up, the more you learn how to let go of things, the more you'll be liberated, the more you'll feel better, the more you'll feel happy, the more you'll feel relaxed. So that is what you need to do every now and then. Give up on ideas, give them thoughts. Because everything we see is an idea. You know, the Nazis believed in some idea, the communists believed in some idea. Some of those ideas can be good, some of the ideas can have violent consequences. So you gotta be, like they say that, examine your life, like, have your life examined, have a philosophical outlook on things, have a philosophical bent of mind. Forget the norms, forget the standards, forget the do's and don'ts. Just live your life how you're supposed to, how you feel is supposed to. But make sure that you're not violent, make sure that you're not presenting things which could be hurtful and harmful to other people. And if you can at least follow that, everything else will just fall into place. That's what I have always believed in, and that's what I will continue to believe in.